Hello, I'm Julia Cordova. Thank you so much for subscribing to my YouTube channel and liking my videos. I really appreciate it. I'm going to talk really fast today because Futures is almost open and I need to watch it. And I was going to talk about bonds today and what I meant by flash crash crescendo, but instead I think I'm just going to have a couple of experts or an expert on to talk about it because I'm just going to mess things up because I'm not an expert on that. Let's just talk charts. Okay? Ready? Whoop. All right. Speedy here. Oh, I'm gonna miss it. Crap. All right. Anyway, okay. Let's start off by looking at ES weekly futures. I'm not gonna be able to do this in time, so this will start ticking as I'm talking. But so first of all, last week we had almost a perfect. I don't know what I did on YouTube. I mentioned that I got really close in my NQ channel, but I got even closer within 2 points of my ES channel. So this is not a bullish looking formation. However, we held this back test so far, and what's really important this week for bulls is closing above 3796.35. That is the key. Now, it doesn't mean that it can't flash below that and have a wick below that. But it does mean that it's going to be, in my opinion, pretty important that we maintain it by the end of the week. So just looking at RSI here, not a lot to say there. Let's go to the daily. Okay, so these are the pivots I'm watching for Sunday / Monday. 3778.48 would be what needs to hold for, I think, an immediate upswing here. But the star, it wouldn't surprise me at all to see a back test of the star line, which let's see what that be on. If it went there on Tuesday, for example, that would be 3677. And that would also get a lot of people talking about a potential head and shoulders, blah blah blah. So that's sort of pivot I'm watching, and also an MA below this line here. As it turns out, we were saved by the M&A at the daily close. Okay, NASDAQ weekly. Okay, yeah, pretty cool. We did the same thing here on the NASDAQ that we did on ES. For this week, if you are a bull, it is very important that we hold the 12666. Very important. And I mean, just from a pure continuation perspective, I'd really like to see a higher low than last week, if we're looking there. Otherwise, if it does close around here, potentially that would be on an RSI support, but it's just going to look fug. So it's possible that we get a flashback here below, and then the same way we had like a fakey breaky, so to speak. I think I talked about that on the daily. Below this 12,600, possible to have it fakey breaky, or 13,600. Possible to have a fakey breaky below the 12,666. Okay, let's look at the daily. So for today, I'll be watching the 12997 line. Let's call it 13,000 level as a potential trading point. And then from the downside, and this would be a lower low, but 12629. That's what I've got as my channels. Okay, let's look at gold. Now, starting to talk about gold again, because even though I've been like, I want to be, I still am. I'm hodling silver in my investment account. But I should have continued to keep my gold short on, and then that would have been the smart thing to do, right? Long silver and short gold, at least as a potential trade. But I didn't do that. It's 6 o'clock. So I am watching on the gold side, on the weekly. If it can't hold this low that's already got, which by the way I'll be scaling in this week, 1670 for me would be a nuclear buy the F out of it. Okay. Yeah. And other than that, these are my levels. So 1670. If it gets there, buy, 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 as Kramer would say. And if it breaks out above 1825, if you wanted to wait for confirmation, if it closes above there, that would be, I think, a good time to scale in if you're a more conservative trader. Now on the 1 hour, we do have what looks like a bear flag here. So I would be mindful of that. If that happened, that would, well, what do you know? The measured move of that would be about 1672 or so. So if the bear flag does break down, interesting. Very interesting. I'll be buying it there if it gets there. I hope it does. But otherwise, I'll still be scaling in because I got nothing. I'll put it in my investment account and just try to ohm through it. Okay, let's look at GDX really quickly. I had published this chart on Twitter and just said it looks like dog poop, and it does. But this, I've talked about horizontal supports before. See this gap here? A lot of times gaps, especially on the weekly, form very strong support and resistances. So the key here is the end of the week holding 31.27. That would be key. That would be quite bullish in my opinion, even though this candle looked really horrible last week. Still, if we can hold 31.27, I think that's very bullish for the upcoming week. If it gets down to 29.05, yeah, I think that's very good high risk reward scenario to go into, and I would certainly, if I were already long, add there, but I am not long yet. I'm looking for some place to scale in this week, hopefully around that area, but I'll look at smaller time frames to figure that out. Okay, let's look at silver. Okay, so silver, yeah, just barely closed below the channel. Oops, I'm moving things around. Okay, just barely closed below the channel I've been watching on the weekly. Not enough to scare me out of it as of yet, because it's also got support by this MA, and that's why I'm just hodling it in my investment account. I'm not too worried about it. We'll see what happens. On the 1 hour futures here, now this isn't the best data in the world. I don't pay for Bloomberg. I don't care. But what I will say is these kinds of gaps are pretty rare when you're looking at futures. It means that there was some panic there. And generally speaking, these kinds of gaps get filled. So I think I'm okay. I'm okay here right now. I'm not freaking out yet. Let's look at oil. So oil already gapped up a little bit, and last week I talked about this looking like a toppy candle, and the first toppy, these toppy candles are never, they're never toppy candles, except for Natty, because Natty is a jerk. But anyway, typically when something looks like this, it's just an opportunity to buy when it goes below, especially something so bullish. Now, it's starting to get into that like nosebleed section of RSI, so I would be concerned and careful, and the thing is with it, when it does get here, I will say sometimes it begins to move even faster and even in a more bullish, or if it's down here, bearish direction. But I wouldn't be too concerned with that yet. I would just, if you are long, make sure you set stops, make sure you know what your plan is, and that's all I'd worry about there. XOP, the oil equities, still holding above that key 7209. As long as it's above there, don't have a care in the world. Hold. Okay, let's look at Natty. So last week I talked about Natty looking so bad that I held it anyway. I got spanked. I was not happy. I was super not happy about that. It just looked like crap. And it seems like sometimes if it looks like crap, it is crap. However, on the weekly, as long as it can hold these, especially because they're together, and whenever MAs are together and prices near them, they will typically be super supportive. Okay, now this is weekly. It doesn't mean it can't flash down, but just again, very typically, I see it did it here kind of like, but it was resistance. See how they were together, and then when they were closer together anyway, but price typically will act very strongly around any sort of intersection between MAs. Because why? Because all of the computers that are trading, not the people, but all look at that stuff, and when they see two that are intersected, two are about the same, it's just very supporty or very resistancy, depending on how you look at it. Okay, let's talk about Joe, which is coffee. So I did tweet about it getting to this resistance here, and I knew it was going to pull back. That was very expected because people are starting to talk about it because there's a lot of news about it. And whenever there's news, I realize that it seems like price always goes in the opposite direction. So as long as Joe is above 36.66, it is bullish in my opinion. So any kind of pullback this week, I think, is a very good buying opportunity for me. Okay, for me. I'm not talking about you. For me, I will certainly add back what I sold here near resistance this week if I get the opportunity to. I would love it. Now, just speaking from a purely technical perspective, even though it's bullish above 36.66, I would like to see it not mess around too much below 38.77. Should I label that? No, I'm just going to say it. So you can this is exclusive content. Why 38.77? Because first of all, it's the top of this diamondy wick, and it's also right around this wick and this wick. So, okay, it's like supportive-y ish. And also because it's about halfway down between this resistance and this support. And so, I mean, I'm not a big fib person, but halfway down, it seems like a good deal. 50% off, that's a clearance price, right? Something like that. Anyway, I'm going to be adding back this week and then stopping out if it gets below, or if it at least closes below 36.66, and adding more if it gets finally above this airline line, which would be the neckline of a ginormous Head and Shoulders. Amen. Okay, that's it. Okay, make myself big. Okay, thank you again so much for subscribing to my YouTube channel and liking my videos. I really appreciate it. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I'll see you on the interwebs. Okay, bye.